Moon Knight, episode 3, The Friendly Type. So let's just get right into this. So we start off with Layla, and she's having a fake passport made for her. And I don't know who this woman that's helping Layla is, but this woman has some kind of history with Layla and knows about Layla's father and stuff. And we get some information about Layla's backstory. Basically, her father was an archaeologist who used to take Layla to all the dig sites when she was young, and he was murdered, and we don't know how and by who. And Layla, we also find out a bit about like what she does. And she's basically like Laura Croft meets Indiana Jones in a sense. She goes and she robs people who rob historical items and stuff. But she keeps some of it for herself so she can pay the bills and stuff like that. And yeah, she's basically making a passport to Egypt so she can go meet up with Mark without his knowledge. And then we cut to Mark, and Mark is running across Egyptian rooftops and eventually stops at one rooftop to witness 3 guys killing someone. And he's like, that person that you just murdered, like, I was going to question him. Maybe now I'm going to have to get the information out of you. And so we have a fight scene. And throughout the fight scene, Steven's trying to tell Mark to stop. And it's kind of like, dude, if Mark stops, he's going to get killed because these people are trying to murder him. But yeah, these are 3 disciples of Amit. One of them is a teenager who Mark goes easy on, and I don't understand why. It's like, yeah, he may be a teenager, but he just participated in a murder, and now he's trying to murder you, but whatever. Eventually, he has one guy, he holds a blade to one guy's neck, and he's about to slice his neck open when he sees Steven's reflection in the mirror, and then he does what I call the flash, where they're switching personalities. And then all of a sudden, Mark wakes up, and he's in the back of a taxi. And he's confused, like, how the hell did I get from a rooftop to here? He asks the taxi cab driver, where are you taking me? And he says, where you told me to, and we're going towards the airport. And along the way, Mark sees 2 of the people that he was questioning from the rooftop. So he gets out of the taxi and he chases them down. And he eventually corners one of them in an alleyway. And he's holding him up. He's about to interrogate him when he sees Steven's reflection again in the mirror. And Steven tries to take over his body. And that's when someone comes up behind Mark and knocks him out. And when Mark wakes up again, he's on top of a cliff with his knife buried into one of the guys. The other guy is dead on the floor, and the teenager is the only one left alive. And Mark is confused. He's like, Steven, what the hell did you just do? Steven's like, it wasn't me, I swear. He turns to the teenager, and he's wondering what he's going to do about the teenager when Conchu tells him, like, question him. He's like how? He's just a child. And again, I'm kind of like, he's not a child. He's a teenager. And he's a teenager who participated in a murder and then tried to murder you. Again, stop trying to go easy on this person. He's guilty of murder. Like, this is not an innocent. But Conchu is like, hold him over the edge of the cliff. I bet he'll talk then. So Mark eventually does that. He grabs the teenager, holds him over the cliff, and basically grabs onto the kid's scarf so that he can dangle him over the edge. And before he can question him, the kid basically says, all praise to Amit, something like that, and slices the scarf and falls to his death. So he basically commits suicide so he won't have to talk. And then Mark's pissed off. Mark sees Steven's reflection. He starts yelling at Steven, like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you murdering all these people? And Steven's like, it wasn't me, I swear. I thought this was kind of weird that Mark is the one who's like, I can't believe you're murdering people. It's like, Mark, you've been murdering everyone that you've come across. Like, why are you all of a sudden like, I can't believe you're killing people? You've literally killed like everyone that you've come across. But yeah, I thought this was kind of interesting because it's like, is there going to be a third personality now? Like, throughout this series so far, we know of Mark and we know of Steven. So is there a third one that none of them know about that's taking control and that's murdering people? And is that third one going to be Jake Lockley? Because the Moon Knight had 3 alter egos. He had Stephen Grant, Jake Lockley, and Mark Spector. So I'm wondering if Jake Lockley is going to be the third personality, if there even is a third personality. Because someone is taking over the body other than Stephen and Mark. And someone is killing these people. But yeah, with the kid dead, Mark and Conchu are kind of like, okay, what do we do now? Conchu's like, I have an idea. It's a terrible idea, but it's an idea that might work. And so Conchu basically causes a solar eclipse And this gets the rest of the Egyptian gods' attention, and they start calling all the avatars. They basically summon them inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. Mark, gets teleported into there as well. And basically, they're going to be holding down a court session. While there, we see the avatar for the Egyptian goddess Hathor. I don't know what her name is, but the avatar basically has some kind of a past with Khonshu, and she's more like willing to listen to his side and stuff. But eventually, the rest of the avatars show up, and the gods take over their body. And then Khonshu starts taking over Mark's body. And basically, the gods are talking to each other through their avatars. And Khonshu is telling them about Arthur and about how Arthur is trying to resurrect Ammit, and he's going to bring devastation to Earth. Millions of people are going to die. Probably billions of people are going to die if Ammit gets resurrected because of the way she judges people and stuff like that. That's when Arthur shows up. And then they start asking Arthur, is this true? And Arthur basically says, no, like this is all a lie. I'm not planning on doing anything. Yes, I was in the desert, but there's no penalty for walking in the desert. This man is lying to you. He's a broken man. He doesn't even know who he is. He travels on his passport. It says Mark Spector, but on his checks it says Stephen Grant. So yeah, don't listen to this man. Khonshu broke him. And the gods, they listen to Arthur, and they believe Arthur, and they basically let Arthur go. And they tell Khonshu, like, you're on thin ice. If you do anything again, like we probably will have to imprison you. And I'm like, are the gods just stupid? Why don't you go look for the evidence yourself? You're gods. Are you telling me you can't see what Arthur is doing? Why don't you ask him why he's in the desert? Why don't you ask him why he has the golden scarab that allows them to track where Ammit is? Why don't you ask him why, of all places, he's digging at this one specific site where we know Ammit is buried? Come on. What's going on? Are you gods really that stupid? But they are. They're stupid. And they're just like, all right, we're going to disbelieve Arthur just because, we have no evidence otherwise. It's like, oh my God. I don't know. This scene just bugged the hell out of me. The gods leave their avatar bodies, and then the avatars lead, except for the avatar for Hathor, who basically tells Spectre, like, hey, there's this sarcophagus that belongs to this Magi, and this Magi knows the location of Ammit's tube. So if you can find the sarcophagus, you could find clues on where Ammit is buried. And so Stephen goes to the Egyptian black market to try to get information, but he's not able to find any. And that's when Layla shows up. And Layla basically says, hey, I can take you to meet someone. Like, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to find the sarcophagus of this Magi. I can take you to where it's at. There's this guy named Anton, and he has the sarcophagus in his possession along with a bunch of other Egyptian artifacts and things like that. But you have to work with me now. So then we cut to them like on like a little river boat, and we have a moment between the two of them where they're kind of hashing out their relationship, and she's basically like upset with Mark for abandoning her and just disappearing to Egypt without letting her know. Yeah, he tells her like, I'm sorry, like I never meant to hurt you and things like that, but you'll understand why I got to do this on my own. But yeah, it's basically just like a moment to try to show a little bit more of their relationship together. And then eventually they show up at Anton's place, and he's having like a party, and they're undercover as husband and wife, which is true. I mean, they are husband and wife still. But instead of going by the name Mark Spencer, he's going by some other name. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, she introduces Mark to Anton, basically says, hey, like we want to take a look at your collection, especially the Magi's sarcophagus. And so he's kind of wondering why, but he's like, all right, fine. And so they go and they look at the sarcophagus, and they're trying to gather clues, but they can't. And Layla's telling Mark, like, let Stephen out. Stephen will know about this stuff. He'll be able to gather the clues. And Mark refuses because he figures once he gives Stephen his body, he won't be able to get it back. Anton and stuff starts questioning, like, what they're doing in the sarcophagus area. And Layla basically goes to kind of talk to Anton and try to keep his attention away from Mark so Mark can look at the sarcophagus some more and maybe try to gather something. And then eventually Steven, he sees the sarcophagus from a mirror like reflection. And at first he doesn't want to help. He's like, I'll help you, but you have to give me the body. And Mark's like, no, like if I give you the body, then you won't ever give it back to me. And like, you got to help me now. If you don't help me and we don't gather these clues and find out where Amit is buried, then Amit will get resurrected and millions will die. And Steven's like, all right, fine. So Steven starts helping him. He tells him that basically there's like this cloth that's laid on top of the corpse of the Magi. And there's like stars on it. And basically if you fold the cloth in certain ways and put them together, it starts putting this piece. This is basically like a puzzle piece. But before that can happen, Anton and Anton's men see Mark messing around with the sarcophagus and they don't like him tampering with it. So they pull out guns and they start holding Layla and Mark hostage. But then that's when Arthur shows up. And Arthur basically tells them like, hey, I can make you a deal. Like whatever these two are offering you, I can offer you something even grander. And he shows the scarab and basically says like, I can demonstrate true power. And he shows him the staff of Amit. And he goes into the sarcophagus room and he uses the staff to destroy the sarcophagus. And Arthur starts leaving. And then that's when Mark transforms into the Moon Knight and we get a fight scene. So Layla starts fighting off some of Anton's men with guns. Meanwhile, Mark is using his Moon Knight powers to fight off the rest of the guards. It's a pretty cool fight scene. I will say there's a moment where Layla is able to hold her own against Anton's like number one henchman, who is a big muscular guy in peak physical condition. So I was kind of like, oh, come on, man. Like, she's a tiny little girl and he's a big, strong dude. Like, he has the strength advantage. Thankfully, the fight isn't like her overpowering him and stuff like that. It's more her using her speed and her agility and athleticism to like dodge around him and stuff. So I was like, okay, this is actually good. We do have a scene where Mark eventually gets overrun. Like the henchmen surround him and they start stabbing him. And they're basically pinning him down to the floor with spears. And Layla is able to kill Anton's right-hand man by stabbing him, through... I think she kills him. Yeah, she kills him. At first I was thinking maybe she pins him down, but no, I think he's dead. She stabs him basically through the chest with 2 blades. And then she picks up a gun and she shoots some of the men that are pinning Mark down. And then she gets hit and she's about to get... she gets hit by Anton and she's about to get trampled on by Anton, who's on a horse. He's about to run her down when Mark saves her and throws one of his moon blades and it stabs into Anton and I'm assuming kills him. So in regards to this whole fight scene, I will say I liked it a lot better than I assumed it was going to be. I thought it was going to be basically Layla was going to be beating up the guys and needing to save Mark. But no, they actually help out each other and I'm like, yes, this is what I want. I don't mind badass female characters, especially if they're main characters. Like, stuff is fine. But I don't want them, like, if they're partnered up with the male character, I don't want them constantly running roughshod over the main character. I don't want them to be the one that's constantly doing all the fighting and saving the day and having to get the male character out of predicaments and constantly saving them their ass. And we didn't get that. Yes, we had a moment where she saves him, but then we immediately followed that up with the moment where he saves her. And I'm like, good, this is like a true actual partnership. Like, they're actually helping each other. No one person is better than the other. Layla is good at certain things and Mark is good at certain things, and the things that they're not good at, they're able to, whatever weaknesses Layla has, Mark is able to counter that, and whatever weaknesses Mark has, Layla is able to counter it. And in this specific fight, Layla is able to free Mark by shooting at the henchmen with guns, and then Mark is able to save Layla's life by pulling her out of the way of the trampling horse. So I'm like, all right, sweet. This is what I want. I want true actual partnership. I want both characters to have their own strengths, to have their own weaknesses, and to be equal to each other. And that's what we get. And thank you. This is what I wanted. And this is what we got. So moving on. So Layla grabs the pieces, hops into a Jeep with Mark, and they start traveling out. And along the way, Layla starts questioning Mark. Because when Arthur was around, Arthur basically mentioned the fact that Layla was always on the run from her past due to her father's death. And she's like, why don't you ask Mark about it? He knows about your father's death. And Layla's confused at first, like, how would he know? And so she questions Mark. She's like, is it true what he said about my father? And Mark brushes it aside. He's like, no, he's lying. He's just saying whatever he can to get into people's head. He's a liar. He doesn't want truth or justice. If he did, he wouldn't be having all of these criminals in his cult. So don't listen to what he has to say. He's just trying to put us against each other. And Layla is like, she leaves the matter alone, but it's kind of obvious that she doesn't, fully believe in Mark. And she kind of mentions like, I thought I knew everything about you, but feels like every time I know something new, like it feels like I don't know you at all. And then Mark kind of drops the bombshell of, you don't know me, you don't know anything about me. And so, yeah, it basically kind of shows how fractured their relationship is. And then eventually they drive off into the deserts where they park and they put the puzzle pieces on side the Jeep, and they're trying to piece the pieces together, but they can't. And Layla's like, bring out Steven. Steven's going to be able to get this working. And Mark refuses, but she's like, we need Steven. Like, we can't do this. I can't figure this out. Steven will be able to. So eventually Mark is like, fine. So he gives his body over to Steven, and Steven is able to put the pieces together. And we kind of have like a moment with Steven and Layla, where Steven is like, he's like a kid in a candy store when he's talking about the Egyptians and the stars and all that stuff. And Layla is kind of like intrigued by that. So we kind of get the hint that maybe Layla actually is starting to prefer the Steven personality. We'll see where that goes. But eventually he gets the pieces together and he holds it up and he tells them, like, back in the day, Egyptians used the constellations, the stars, to track things, to rather than like landmarks and stuff like that. They would use the stars to help guide them. And so Layla pulls out her tablet and she kind of scans the stars. And she's like, it's not working. And Steven tells her, yeah, it won't work because this map is like 2,000 years out of date. Over time, the stars will move. Like, they barely move, but for us, they move enough so that we can't get a pinpoint. Our location can be anywhere from Earth to Mars. So it's impossible for us to figure this out. We would have to find someone who knows about how the stars were aligned back then, and there's no one out there. And then Khonshu was like, yeah, there is. Like, I know. I know exactly how the stars were aligned back then. I can give you that knowledge, but it's going to cost me. And so he basically tells Steven to bring out the suit. He does. And through Steven, Khonshu uses his powers to turn the skies. And the skies basically start moving. The stars start aligning back to how they were 2,000 years ago. And Layla is able to use her tablet to get the pinpoint on all this stuff. And she's like, all right, I've located the location of Amit's tomb. We know exactly where we need to go. But because he used his powers on the sky again, the Egyptian gods basically have no other option but to take Khonshu's powers away from him and to bind him into stone. So Khonshu is now punished for disobeying the gods, and they force him into a stone idol. The suit disappears, so I'm assuming Mark and Steven no longer can summon the suits. I'm guessing their powers were taken away. We don't know this for sure. We do know that Khonshu loses his powers, and since the avatars are powered by their gods, I'm assuming Mark and Steven lose their powers, especially since we see Steven decloak from the suit. It seems like it happens automatically once Khonshu disappears. But I guess we'll find out in the fourth episode if their powers are truly gone. But yeah, they know the location, but Khonshu is now banished into stone. We cut back to Giza, where we see a stone figure of Khonshu on this pedestal, and Arthur shows up. And Arthur is basically is told by the other avatars that they had no choice but to punish Khonshu. And he basically says, like, can Khonshu hear me? And the other guy's like, we don't know, but we think so. He's like, I want to speak with him in private. And basically, as he's talking to Khonshu, he tells him about how he actually enjoyed when he was Khonshu's avatar. He enjoyed when he was a Moon Knight dealing out punishments. And that's the sin that he carries. And that the torment that Khonshu put Arthur through is what made him the man he is today. Because of all the punishment that he was dealing out, it eventually turned him to Amit, where he realized that Khonshu's punishment wasn't true punishment. That Amit is the one that actually is doing good by punishing evil before they can commit crimes and stuff like that. And so he basically says that my victory of resurrecting Amit and bringing her justice to the world is going to be your responsibility because of what you did to me as when I was Moon Knight. And that's how the episode ends. So yeah, I will say that I thought this was a good episode. I like where the story is going. There are some moments, like the fact that Steven was constantly trying to get Mark to stop hurting people. At least he's like, stop killing people. But it's like Mark wasn't really trying to kill people. He was trying to beat them up so that he can interrogate them. There was no evidence that he was trying to kill them at this point in time. Also, the fact that Steven was like, you got to go easy on the kid. He's just a kid. Even Mark telling Khonshu, like, he's just a kid. What do you want me to do? And it's like, this is a kid that murdered people and tried to murder you. He's not a kid anymore. He's not innocent. Deal out justice. Also, the part with the gods. I think the gods are just retarded. I think they're stupid and bought into Arthur's belief a little too quickly. I also didn't like how Khonshu played up what he said during that court thing. Like, Khonshu should have just straight up said, this, our Arthur is trying to resurrect Amit. He has the golden scarab that leads to her burial site. He's currently here in Egypt, in the desert, at her site, digging right now. That's all the evidence that you need. He should have just said that. And in whatever Arthur says, be like, fine, whatever. If Arthur wants to say that my avatar is broken, he can say that. But just go to Amit's burial site and see that him and his people are digging there. Like, there you go. That's all the proof you need. Hell, check his body right now and you'll find the golden scarab on him. Because he's still carrying it, because he shows it to Anton later on. But yeah, I just thought the whole court scene, I thought it could have been done better. You can still end up with the same results, but I just would have played it a little bit better. I would have had the gods be a little bit more smarter. They come across as idiots who are too easily fooled and easily buying what Arthur has to peddle. So I didn't care for that. But I like the relationship between Layla and Mark / Steven. And by relationship, I'm not necessarily meaning their romantic relationship, but I like their partnership. I like the fact that they're pretty much equals here. No one person is better than the other. I mean, obviously, Mark is the better fighter and stuff like that, but he wouldn't be able to get as far as he can without Layla. But then again, Layla wouldn't be able to get as far without Mark and Steven. So I like the fact that all these characters are pretty much equal. Like, no one can do anything on their own. So it's a lot better than modern day Marvel comics and stuff, where again we have one character, usually the female character, who's the bestest ever, and she's able to do everything, and all the males are basically like comedic relief sidekicks, kind of bumbling around through the adventure. We don't get that here, and I'm thankful for that. So yeah, I will say this, and like the action scenes that we got was great. The story, where it's going, is really picking up. I'll even say the CGI seems to be doing, a lot better, especially like when we have the scenes with the stars moving and stuff, and then even the scene where we see Khonshu, it looks a lot better than before. So yeah, I like where this series is going. Again, I would say, 8 out of 10, maybe 7.5 out of 10. I'll say this one is a little bit slightly weaker than the previous issue, but no, you know what? 8 out of 10. It was good. So yeah, it's been a great series so far. I highly recommend it still. We're halfway through, so we got 3 more episodes to go. And I'm liking where it's going. I'm liking the characters. Arthur is a really good villain. Because, again, before he came across as sympathetic, but still someone that, is not a good person. Because he wants to bring peace and heaven on earth, basically. But he's going about it the wrong way by punishing people, aka killing them before they've committed a crime. So innocent people are going to be killed for a crime that they have not committed yet, and they might not commit. We don't know. So he started off kind of sympathetic in that regard, but now in this issue he comes across as very slimy. But I think he's a very good antagonist, very good villain, and Ethan plays his job really good here. All the other actors and actresses did a really good job here. Yeah, I think everything so far has been really good. I'm hoping it continues to be that way, because I would like, again, like I said before, I would like for this series to end up being fantastic. So far, it's been really good. Don't really have too many complaints, other than little nitpicks and plot holes and stuff here and there. Maybe I'll find something later on about this issue that bugged me, but at this point in time, I don't really have too much other than, again, stuff that I already pointed out. But that's sometimes things like that tend to pop up later on. For example, I didn't mention this in episode 1, but in episode 2, Mark was telling Layla that he wanted to divorce her. He wanted to leave her because he was telling Steven that he was doing this because he didn't want to hurt her. He didn't want to put her in danger, because he didn't want anyone close to him that people like, Khonshu's enemies can go after. Which then begs the question, why did Mark try to set up a date with that girl at the steakhouse in episode 1? If you're not trying to get close to anybody, why would you, as Mark, try to set up a date with another person, which would obviously mean that you're getting close to that person? I mean, if you're just looking for a booty call, I'm pretty sure you can find a one-night stand or pick up, an escort or something. So unless maybe that was Jake that was doing that. That would be kind of an interesting twist where some of the things happening in previous episodes wasn't done by Steven or Mark, but it was actually by Jake, and we just don't know it. And they don't know until later on. Maybe we'll find out in future episodes. But yeah, I'm liking that. I'm liking the idea that there seems to be a third personality, and they have no idea who it is. Maybe it's Jake. What does Jake want? What is Jake's personality in this TV series? Apparently, it's murdering people. So, but then again, that's kind of what Mark was doing. So how is he different from Mark? Maybe Jake is the one that was murdering the scientists and stuff in the second episode that we see from the cops. Maybe he's the one that killed Layla's dad. Who knows? That'd be interesting. Everything's good. I'm just kind of rambling at this point, but I've enjoyed this series. I've enjoyed this episode, and I'm looking forward to the next one. And I hope the series continues to stay on track. It's been really fantastic so far. Anyways, there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Tell me what you think. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the video, on the episode itself. Are you guys enjoying it? Not enjoying it? What do you like? What do you don't like? But yeah, hope you guys take care. Hope to see you next time. Later.